everyone, welcome to 2K Central. My name is Taylor and I hope you're well. So I'm here with yet another Mafia 3 video which revolves around the newly released expansion Stones Unturned. This isn't a review, simply a spoiler free rundown of what you can expect from the DLC, our personal thoughts regarding its quality and some advice for those who are waiting for an honest opinion. So firstly, as always, the narrative. The expansion revolves around John Donovan's mysterious and bitter relationship with Connor Aldridge. Lincoln and Donovan team up to track down Aldridge and his mercenary army who have stolen some lethal cargo from a downed aircraft and they plan to use it for their own motives. I don't want to say anything regarding the reasons for Aldridge and Donovan's heated relationship or their motives throughout this expansion because it's honestly a pretty interesting reveal and one of the highlights of the DLC. The writing, character performances and cutscenes are all great, though that is expected at this point. Number 2. Donovan's presence adds to the experience. Now, John Donovan accompanies Lincoln throughout each mission, plays a role in combat, brags when he takes out enemies, and praises Lincoln's efficiency in combat, that's one way of putting it, and talks shit in the car with Lincoln as you drive from A to B. This seriously was one of my favourite parts of the DLC, and makes me wonder why they didn't do this more with our underbosses in the full game. Having characters accompany the main protagonist really does help develop relationships with each other and allows them to take more of an impact in the overall story through gameplay and combat. Besides, it makes those long drives from point A to point B much more interesting and tolerable. They also throw in some nice little missable moments. Donovan will change the radio station to suit himself and make fun of Lincoln for his shitty taste in music. Some nice attention to detail there. Overall, a vast improvement from Hangar 13 by giving side characters more of a role and impact. Number 3. Story focused and small improvements. Now, possibly the biggest improvement from the DLC is the mission structure itself. It's much more traditional in terms of its structure and is completely focused towards showcasing the story instead of sending you around the city repeatedly on meaningless tasks like collect this weed plant. Instead, you go through the game fighting your way past waves of enemies while being rewarded with more cutscenes and banter in between. They've also minimised and improved those fixed camera scenes, which are still super awkward and shouldn't be in the game in the first place, but they're a little more tolerable and don't pop up as often. Thank fuck. It also gives you a break from driving everywhere as Donovan takes that responsibility on a few occasions. Instead, you spend some missions firing at approaching enemies from a mounted machine gun. Apart from some small pacing issues, the structure is decent. Number 4. The AI are getting smarter. Now don't get too excited, it's not a drastic change from the full game, but it is noticeable. The AI don't simply walk in a straight line as much, and they're also slightly more aggressive in combat and will force you to find cover and actually even make you think about your approach a little more, which is nice. I was hiding behind cover and I whistled, and as the enemy walked up, because I played the main game, I didn't think he would see me, but in real life you would see the person that was there at the angle that he came at, and he noticed me and started shooting, which I thought was good. Now in terms of the combat, it does get slightly repetitive by the end of the expansion. The game throws heaps of mercenaries at you and Donovan to slow you down and make Connor Aldridge feel more powerful, but it does kind of feel like a bid to stretch out the DLC to make it seem a little longer than it actually is. Speaking of which, number 5, Stones Unturned is still too short. Now Faster Baby took less than 90 minutes to complete, though Stones Unturned offers more cutscenes and better mission structure and some side content which I'll get to next. The main narrative took me only 90 minutes to complete, as you've seen at the walkthroughs. There are clear improvements, but it still felt slightly rushed out the door to meet the deadline. I stumbled upon some buggy moments, some cutscenes were fucked up. What?
Works every miles from anyone who's come into the country from little girl or commie prince.
Martin had to restart missions on multiple occasions because Donovan got stuck on objects and he couldn't advance, and the launch of Stones Unturned wasn't exactly smooth either, with the whole season's pass issue on Xbox One. It simply needs more polish, but we keep saying that. Personally for me, if you watch the walkthroughs, at some points I felt bad because I actually had to say that it was the game doing the glitches throughout the cutscenes and not our recording of it. Like, the bugs were too consistent throughout the cutscenes for me to be able to edit out those bugs and for the cutscene to still make sense. The bugs happened as the characters talked, so if I edit it out, you couldn't read the subtitles and the cutscene wouldn't make sense. So I left it in there, as painful as it was to watch. Number 6. Underwhelming side content. Now, after completing the story of Stones Unturned, you team up with a brand new associate called Robert Marshall, who offers a sniper service that you can use throughout the game. Marshall gives you 3 missions to track down and subdue some key targets who are causing issues in New Bordeaux. With this, you get a sleep dart gun that allows you to knock out enemies, place them in the back of your trunk and bring them back to jail. Upon completing the side content, you'll be rewarded with a new car to your fleet. Now this is about 15 to 20 minutes of content that's fun but still very underwhelming. It felt like they knew they had a good story with Stones Unturned, but it was too short, and that they thought, okay, we'll add on this bounty hunting that'll just extend it that little bit more and hopefully they won't be mad at us. And we're not necessarily mad at them. Now, should you buy this DLC at its current price? To sum up, it has underwhelming side content, 2 cars, 2 new weapons and 2 new outfits, along with a 90-minute side story that shows a fun and more meaningful side to John Donovan in a brand new location, which is really fun for the length of time it lasts. The difference between this expansion and the last expansion, Faster Baby, is unbelievable, and I so much enjoyed this DLC 10 times more than I enjoyed Faster Baby. But honestly, it is not exactly worth the price of $14.99 in my opinion. $4.99 seems more fair, and at this point I'd seriously advise everyone to wait for the season's pass to drop in price. For Mafia 2, Joe's Adventures was actually quite long despite its fairly repetitive mission structure, and even that was only £6. What I suggest is maybe you could pick up all 3 expansions on sale for the price of $14.99 in a few months, which will happen as the game's life cycle is coming to an end in July, so it might just be worth waiting. But yeah, that is the end of the video. Some good improvements from Hangar 13. It's clear that they're listening and they're working on things, which I really appreciate, though I still come away with the feeling that the DLC offered an okay experience but not exactly a memorable one, nor one I'd state is a must play for Mafia fans. What did you guys think of the expansion? Were you satisfied sexually, or were you left thinking, that was okay? Let us know. Speaking of story and walkthroughs, make sure you follow our Twitch account, 2K Central Official, to be able to catch live streams and stuff. It's usually on the weekend, and we usually do just a really relaxed playthrough. Right now I think we're doing Mafia 2, and it's quite a good laugh. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you in the next DLC. Goodbye.
Get live.